Hi everyone, trying to get this in frame. It's going to be a little different this month because I told you about this Uranus South Node thing, and I'm going to, just present a few facts, a couple of minutes right in the beginning, and then we'll get into the regular reading. So if you're not that interested in this, I guess you could skip ahead. These are the dates that they were. I looked it up, first of all. South Node conjunct Uranus, North Node conjunct Uranus. And what's happening now is, the South Node, of course. It happens about every 8-9 years. It goes back and forth from one to the other, and then it's, the last time that it was South Node conjunct Uranus in Aries, which is what it is now, was June 2nd, 1847. Now, computerized, there's a big discrepancy between the ephemeris and the running it on the computer. In this case, it's like about a 10-11 day gap, but I think it's because it might be true node and mean node. So I think I probably used true node. I should have looked that up, but that just occurred to me right before I started making the tape, why there could be a difference. So I went with the computerized one, and then it was June 2nd, 1847. So, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. These are the dates. If anybody wants me to even email them this info, I can. And then here's a real quick, this is a PDF if you want me to email it to you. I made up. There were Uranian type of things happening, definitely, in every case. Let's zoom back out again. The June 2nd, 1847, this is just the South Node for the last times it's happened over 100 years. I hope you can see this. Let me try to zoom in a little better. You could probably, I'm hoping you can just freeze this. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm hoping we can just freeze this and you'll get it. Otherwise, again, if you're really that interested, we can definitely pull up the PDF and I'll email it to you. Just let me know. Okay, so June 1847. The 31st of June, the Rotterdam-Hague Railroad opens, and the 10th, the Chicago Tribune begins publishing. So both have to do with communication and travel, and there is a lot of like space-age stuff. There's definitely a lot of Uranian things happening every time, and it's with the Aries here. And then, okay, May 20th, 1923. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. We might have to do a little scrolling because I can't read it that small. The 26th, Socialist Workers Youth International forms in Hamburg. 28th, U.S. unemployment has nearly ended. Yeah, this was the boom time before the crash of the stock market, and it was at 17 Pisces. Come back here. Thank you. And then we have the 26th, Franco conquers Barcelona. 27th, the first flight of the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. So again, there's this this flying thing happening, and there were some. I'm sorry, I'm skipping to the Scorpio one. China and U.S. do diplomats. Almost every time there is some earthquakes and stuff. There was a big earthquake, 30,000 killed, 10,000 killed, and 2 earthquakes in Chile, and this was in 1939, January 24th, 1939, in Scorpio. Pluto. Spanish government moves to Figueras. Earthquake. Franco conquers Barcelona. First flight of the Lockheed Lightning. So there's these kind of innovation, flying, space things, which is what you would expect with Uranus. But it's also the higher octave of Mercury, so there's an element of that. 1954, it's all these TV stations launching. Whoa, there's that hawk! Oh, am I going to get him on channel? He has been around here, man. He just flew into my window. Oh, wow. There he is. Can you see him? Oh, there he went away. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, talk about Uranus energy. These hawks have been so around me lately. It's so cool. Oh, I'm sorry. This is going to be a crazy video. I might have to cut that out, but I don't think I will. That was crazy. It just went right into the window. It was probably after. It was after something, like another small bird. I found that they just don't like to be filmed, these hawks. But anyways, back to this chart. Oh, wow. Okay, sorry about all the disruptions, but that's Uranus for sure, right? And, okay, Belgian. Okay, this is in April 54. It was mostly TV stations being launched around then, so TV was being born. Talk about Iranian energy. And then there's some other things. Soviet diplomat Vladimir Petrov asks for political asylum in Canberra. Robert Oppenheim accused of being a communist. So there was that communist Capricorn too, probably, you know, coming down on people. Belgian Van Hout government resigns. But the rest of them are TV station. That's the main thing of what was happening that time, 54. Next, 1969, although it was in January 13th, we all know what happened in 1969. That was the launch of the Men on the Moon. They walked on the moon. It was the first men on the moon. But there was a bunch of other stuff happening. The 10th, pirate radio station, right around that exact date. Pirate radio station Free Derby begins operation in Northern Ireland. The 10th, USSR's Venera 6 launched for parachute landings on Venus. So there was space exploration was big time. This time it was the TV stations in 54, 69 space exploration. There's quite a few mentions of these Soviets. Soyuz 4 and Soyuz 5 performed the first transfer of crew in space. Soyuz 5 is launched, Soyuz 4 is launched. An explosion aboard the USS Enterprise near Hawaii kills 27 people. Well, of course, the USS Enterprise, you know, I know it's not a spaceship, I'm sure, but we all know what that is reference to. And that was on TV then, if I'm not mistaken. Star Trek was in the late 60s. Nuclear test in the Pacific Ocean. So very much Uranian energy again. 1999. This is the big one in 99. This was very interesting. It says NASA's ACE and WIND spacecraft each observed that the density of the solar wind dropped by more than 98%. So I thought that was pretty cool. Phantom Menace, Star Wars was released, and Bluetooth was announced. So again, very Uranian. And there was also some other events were the first meeting of the new parliament in Scotland. You know, so there was some things happening, definitely. So these are the dates. I mean, if you want to research it more, then so be it. I'm going to get rid of that. And the last thing I want to show real quickly, I should have done maybe a bi-wheel. But what I did do is run the two charts. And it was 1847. The big thing that hits me right off about the two charts is Neptune was in Pisces both times. Neptune was 0 Pisces, and the Uranus conjunct the node was at 1713 Aries. And we have 5 Pisces and 12, almost 13. Uranus conjunct the node at almost 13 degrees of Aries. So that's similar. I mean, it's only off by a few degrees, and the Neptune is as well. Without really looking it up, I should have looked it up. That probably they do run in cycles together if we were to research it further. The other thing that there's in this chart of 1847, there's Saturn square Sun, Saturn square Mercury, and there was something else. Well, it was Saturn squaring off with a lot of stuff. And in this chart as well, we have Saturn square Mars, and then Saturn square Neptune. Or is that, yeah, Neptune. So there's some Saturn squares. I think that might just be kind of random. If you want to look further, I forgot to grab it in here. There is the chart. You can pull up just the year 1847 in Wikipedia. There's a whole bunch of stuff. You can look into it further. Anybody wants to take this info and run with it and go deeper, I mean, because there's a lot deeper you can go. I kind of dropped the ball because it's just getting too much head work. I'm kind of been creative mode here lately. So, but these are the statistics. Wikipedia has a huge list of things, and one of the main things that they feature for the year 1847 was the first postage stamps, I believe, or presidential postage stamps, or photographic. It had Ben Franklin and somebody else on it. So again, you know, higher octave of Mercury, Uranian energy, having to do with travel, communication, space development. You know, this time, I'm going to collapse this 1847 chart. Look at this chart for a minute, because it is the new moon is a few minutes after that. This is going to be so magical, I think. Well, one of the negative things that's happened with technology real recently, because this has been an orb for a while, this Uranus South Node thing, is how they hacked into all the people's stuff, you know, all their private files. And so I think that, and Aries being the private individual, you know. So that was like a negative thing that could have happened, has happened during this time frame. But I'm sure there's going to be some positive things. And one of the things I feel real strong on is, you know, past life stuff. So this is the chart for the, I put it around 4 a.m. Eastern Time. And boy, we're just there. It's just, sun is at 29:58 Capricorn. And the moon, we're just coming up on this new moon, which is going to actually be in Aquarius on the 20th. This is also the 20th, 4 a.m. The sun goes 0, it's at 29 Capricorn here, when this first comes into being exact here, this node thing, right? Then at 4:44 a.m., triple fours, that's when the sun goes 0 into 0 Aquarius. And then the new moon is right after that. I have the new moon chart here as well. Let me pull that up. Here it is. This is the actual new moon chart. Actually, it's not. This is Uranus node as well. I do have it. I'm sorry for all the mishaps in this video. This has been kind of crazy. Where's that new moon chart? There it is. Okay. It's over here. 0. And that's at 8:14. So 4 hours later, roughly, from the exact, when it first comes into exact conjunction, we have the new moon at 0 Aquarius. So talk about, you know, intensity. Intensity in 10 cities. Who was that album? I think, is that Ted Nugent or something? I can't remember. But that's what we're looking at here. I feel like in such a good way. Okay, so this is the chart for that exact conjunction. I think we talked about that enough. We're going to maybe go into it a little more over here, but I want to really get into the actual chart of the actual new moon. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful energy. You know, it's coming out of this horrible, that last one was so bad, and, you know, I don't take any pleasure in being right about predicting that there was going to be some kind of major thing, possibly religious related. I mean, it doesn't take a master astrologer to predict that, looking at that last chart. I mean, a lot of people had an inkling about it. But it was so cool, it was so Uranian what they did, that March for Peace in the streets. That was so powerful. And that is us going into the Aquarian age, which is Uranus is all about. And this new moon in Aquarius is, you know, the age of Aquarius, Uranus, it's all tied together. I mean, that was so beautiful when they marched down the street. I brought tears to my eyes. It was just such a beautiful thing. And such the, you know, we're not going to sink down to these levels of violence. We want to handle things in a new way. This is a new era. And it was just so, I'm getting chills just even thinking about it right now, how beautiful it was. I know there was a lot of stuff about why Obama wasn't there. But one of the other things real quick that from the last reading, I talked about, you know, with Saturn and Sag we were talking about, and how education, and he did announce that he would like to make junior college free for everybody. And I thought that was really awesome here in America for him to do that. And I hope it can get through the channels, you know, that they're not going to go crazy trying to block him, because I think that's, I wouldn't mind my tax dollars going for that. I think that's worthy, you know, and I think that education should be free, at least junior college, if nothing else. So he did announce that. And there's the Saturn in Sagittarius that we discussed too. But onto this chart, let's blow this baby up a little bit here. I just feel like it's such a beautiful energy. You know, when I open it up, how I always like to look at these. Can we go one more size up? Yeah, one more size up. I always like to look at the aspect lines in that. I'm obsessed with that. And that's one more thing. We're on to the reading. Everybody was, not everybody, but some people gave me flack about the comments about the math. I was not saying that math is not important, and I don't feel that in any way. I know math is so super important for everything. Our universe is mathematical. I was saying it wasn't important for me, and it wasn't necessary for me to learn math, higher math. I mean, not math at all, but because of my vocation. Certainly people who are going to be studying engineering and science and things like that, they're going to need to take lots and lots of math. That was not what I was trying to say at all. I just used myself and my outlook as an example, but you can, you know, I was just saying we don't need to be, and that's the Aquarius age too. And if you look back, the reason that, you know, that everybody had to take all these certain things and we all had to kind of study the same kind of things is because of, you know, when these schools were being, you know, organized schooling, you know, public schools, were coming to really be prominence when they were establishing this education is as we were dawning on the industrial age. So we needed to produce a lot of, people that were going to go out and work in factories and just, have this general knowledge and have this sort of broad sense of everybody kind of being the same. We're all going to go work in the factory or the office, and we're all going to, we're going to do these types of things. Well, this is a new world we're living in. Aquarius, Uranus, we're living in a new world now. And these old ways just aren't really cutting it. And we're not educating our people, our students, our children, to live in the modern world. And that's a big part of why we have, a lot of unemployment, is because we're not trained. We're trained in these old paradigm ways. And Uranus is breaking free of all that, and Aries is allowing for more individuality, individual study and whatnot. So we're in the Aquarian age, and the industrial age that suited us fine while we were in this industrial age, and everybody was going off to work, and we were going to build, rising up in that area. Now a lot of manufacturing is not really in America anymore, and that's not just the blue collar manufacturing jobs. There was executive jobs in all of those fields too, in the factories and manufacturing and the car, building of cars and whatever. So we're in a new world. We've got to address some education with the Saturn, and I think by making community college free is a beautiful thing, and I think it's wonderful. But anyways, how I look at these, let's get to the reading finally. When I open this chart and I look at it, it so reminds me of a bow and arrow being drawn back, doesn't it? And it's going to be shot out over this way. And what's the point of that arrow pointing at over here? Jupiter. And Juno's coming up to Jupiter. And it's this chart only, but, it's the 7th house, too, of, being partnered in a relationship. But when I think of Jupiter and Juno together, I think of beauty, love. Jupiter expands whatever it comes by, and Juno's the goddess of beauty and love. And Leos are, Leo is royalty. It's that kind of thing. It can, and we're dealing in a world politics, it can mean like royal people and stuff like that. But I just feel like it's like the attitude of the Leo, like the joyous nature of Leo. Let's embrace that, and it's so much like this is an arrow, bow being drawn back, and then the arrow is just going to shoot off over here. So let's look at all this stuff. Boy, look at all this. We have the sun and moon in 0 Aquarius. Its ruler Uranus is conjunct the South Node. Talk about a new beginning. Talk about going in the way of the Aquarian age, like the people linking the heads of Europe, linking arms and walking down that street. Talk about how brave that was. That was so brave. I mean, there was security risks on their part, I'm sure. But they stood together in Uranian way, in Aquarius way, and they walked down that road. And by doing so, they were saying we're not going to be intimidated. And, it's the old united we stand, divided we fall. Mercury, Venus. Venus is opposing Jupiter. So this is some, getting on this good vibe, getting on this creative vibe, get on this creative thinking vibe. This is, I was going to say the mother of invention. That's a Frank Zappa's band. But it's the mother of invention. That's what this is. This is like with Venus and Mercury and the new moon in Aquarius and all this stuff, bam, to Jupiter, to, a Leo, fame and fortune. But that doesn't have to, that's not the motivation. The motivation is over here of, the Aquarian age, of the Aquarian nature. It's a great time for hooking up with higher dimensions. It's big time for that. I still feel really strongly, just in general, this South Node and Uranus thing, it's people going to show up from your past lives, everybody. People are going to show up from your past lives, and people you're meeting in right now, or even like old people not old people, but people that you've known for a while maybe and haven't seen, they're going to be showing up in your lives unexpectedly, out of the blue. I like this so much, this chart. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful chart. There is some squares, but it's probably the same old squares. We have Saturn square Mars. Let's look at that. And that's kind of even out of orb, too. That would have been leading up there a few days before, or something like that. Neptune square Saturn. This is going to be a long, long time thing. That also, I feel, has much to do with that march in the street there. You know, it's just like this coming from within and leading by example, you know, and just leading by example, you know, and that's the nature of Pisces too. You know, it's it can be taking the high road. The fish that swims upstream. There's a fish that swims up, and there's a fish that swims down. But it's like in touch with humanity, and Aquarius totally is in touch with, you know, the humanity, and realizing that we're a global community, and we just totally are, and it's getting more and more. That's not going to go away anytime soon. That's only going to be happening more and more and more. But talk about invention, and just on a regular level, I mean, things could just pop into your head. Things could just be like, oh, wow. And looking at things from a new perspective. You know, these flashes of insights do happen in a moment. They just happen in a moment. It's just like, oh, wow, I get that. Light bulbs going off, you know, things like that. You know, we do still have, you know, we've got Mars conjunct Neptune, too. I kind of like, even though it's completely opposite, it's fire and water, and it's kind of, Mars is let's go get them, and Neptune's like let's, you know, just sit back and be dreamy. You know, it's a different kind of energy from each other, Neptune and Mars, but I feel like it could be Mars giving energy toward Neptune, toward there's a lot of stuff about like creativity and arts. I wouldn't be surprised if like films come out or people get inspired to do films, because that's the Leo of the performer and the Neptune of the film and the dancers and everything. That have to do maybe with the political unrest, yes, or maybe just these new ways of thinking, and how we're just, you know, not going to react with fear. We're going to react with love, right? Neptune. Mars would be, you know, Mars in Pisces is kind of, you know, toned down for sure too, right? You know, Mars is that is the god of war. And it's in Pisces, and it's conjuncting Neptune. So Neptune is just kind of, you know, dousing that fire right out. You could look at it that way, or you could look at it like we said, that Mars is giving energy to creative expression and really bringing that all out. It is all opposed Lilith here too. So again, it's like, you know, I'm feeling like I want to get on the Cosby thing. That kind of did a lot of stirring up, but just in general, anybody who women, you know, Lilith was not going to be put in her place. She was not going to be second fiddle to Adam, which was meant to be her lot in life. And she said, no, I'm not going to be quiet and let the patriarch run over me. I'm going to, you know, and Neptune, maybe things that have been secret are going to come out. And maybe more, not just Cosby, but maybe more involving women in general. I think more people oppressed, but, you know, women still are the biggest group of people that are oppressed in this kind of world, in the world. So I think that some of that kind of stuff could be really coming out as well. I like so much that this palace is conjunct Saturn. I think that that's just going to be, you know, new, and if we can do it, it's going to be new and innovative ways of thinking and doing things. And it ties to education, but it ties to religion, it ties to foreign people. You know, we're a global community, and we can't just say, well, it's just those guys over there and we're just separate from them. It's us and them. No, it's everybody. It's Aquarius, it's everybody. We're all here together. We're all on planet Earth together here, and we're all the human race together. And this arrow is just getting ready to be like phew, shot into the future. I just feel like we could be making big leaps, and big leaps now. Big leaps could happen. On a real personal level, it's probably a great time for any kind of manifestation that you want to do, any kind of works of art with Venus and Mercury, any kind of invention, creation, new way of doing things, new ways of thinking, with Aquarius, to unite us all, to bring us all together in one group, and focus on what we do have in common instead of what is different between us, and celebrate what is different between us. You know, we don't all have to think the same thing. You know, we don't have to go to war over differences of opinion. That seems pretty crazy, right? We can leave space and respect for other people's opinions. And I know, okay, yeah, not when they're beheading people and stuff like that. I mean, I get that. But instead of going and grabbing their guy and beheading their guy, let's march in the street, linked arms. That's so much more powerful, and that's so much more, you know, mature. And as we mature as a race and a people, and as mankind, humankind, you know, we are moving into the future. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. We're moving into Uranus. We're bringing with the South Node and Uranus all the knowledge from the past, and all the knowledge from our past lives, and all the knowledge from our history, and making it Libra North Node, you know, a place of more tolerance and more balance and more harmony and more working together and kindness for each other. So this is a great chart. I love this chart. Again, it's a great time for any of you that want to launch anything on a personal level, you know, like a new project, a new business, anything new. It's just such a great energy, and Uranus is so activated at this time, so it's big time Uranian energy. There's a few things I want to talk about before we go, actually. First of all, it was this deck thing of mine. I've been really getting along with it. I realized by showing those pencil sketches, you're really getting that much of it. I want to just quickly, and for those of you that aren't familiar with the process, how it goes. So here we start with the pencil sketch. This one I just zoomed in on the spider because it's like, well, I knew I was going to draw a web. And the next thing I do is I take it into Illustrator, and I trace over my own work, but I make it nice and clean. So I've got a nice clean spider web. And then the last thing I do is I take it into Photoshop and really clean it up. And this is going to be like the final card of Spider. And this element of the Wheel of Life is going to be present in all of the cards. So that's one. I'm going to show you the next one. Actually, I'm going to collapse some of these drawing ones. This is my first sketch of the ladybug. Real loose pencil sketch, rough swirls in. Then I take it into, oops, what happened there? Oh no! Oh no! Oh, the other thing about that, Mercury's going to go retrograde on the 21st, so it's like Mercury's like slowed to a halt. Oh, I can't believe that happened. Okay, then the next thing that would happen, I take it into Illustrator, and then I clean it up real nice and neat and draw all the elements that I'm going to need. And then the next thing that happens is, I had these all stacked in order so it'd be real easy. The final card, which in this case is the ladybug. Here it is. And the other thing is, I was just playing around with fonts, you know, so that crick brown thing, that means nothing. That's just has every letter in the alphabet. So there's the ladybug, the final card, right? So it goes from this. Come here, you. That's kind of hard to see. So here's the first drawing, real sloppy, just sketchy. The second thing, and then what it ends up being. Pretty neat. I had a few more. I might as well try to get them up here for you real quick. So that's that. Then what else we got? Oh, the ants. That was the next thing. Here's the initial sketch of the ant. Collapse these. So here's the initial sketch. Let me blow it up real good for you guys. And I've been getting so much confirmation, like that hawk just flying at the window, but so much confirmation, and everybody telling me how they've had animal totem stuff happening with them on my tarot readings. It's really cool. So here he is. This is the original sketch. And then the next, I did it and created the elements in Illustrator. On this one, I didn't even color them. I just drew them. Just 3 basic elements. And I'm building a library, so some of these grasses and stuff I'm going to use over and over again. But here's the main guy, the ant hill, and 1 ant and a profile. And then the final card comes out like this. In Photoshop, you take it in and add color and texture and depth and everything, and ends up like this. And of course, there's going to be lots and lots of swirly things in the background that you can look at and gaze upon, and hopefully get your psychic working. So there's ant, the final card for ant. Okay, and then I had one more I was going to show, frog, and we'll get off of this. But it's kind of cool. I even think it's kind of cool to look at it from beginning to end, and I'm the one who did it. But, maybe some of you haven't really been around this kind of thing too much. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to do a film of the whole thing when I'm done. So here's frog, the initial drawing, lily pad, real rough sketching in of some real rough flowers on there. And then, where's the next frog? I'm taking it into Illustrator. On this one, I did do a little more colorization. Some of them I will, and some I won't. If I need to, I will. This cool lily pad I really love. And then up here is just the cleaned up flower shape, and the little buds that are going to go inside the lotus flower. And then here comes the final card. Again, taken into Photoshop, given depth, texture, color. So it goes from this little scribbly flower into a nice, neat, clean, so. And again, all of them have the swirl of life symbol on them and everything. Okay, before we go, there's one last thing I'm going to come out about. I got the information that I was supposed to come out about it when Uranus conjunct the South Node, and I was gonna almost chicken out. But I've had lots and lots of stuff showing me that I'm supposed to do it. One of which was the movie Contact that's been playing on cable again. It's been so cold. I've been staying in a lot and just watching movies and stuff. And I always loved that movie. And the lead character, Ellie, is so brave and just, lets her freak flag fly and sticks to her convictions regardless of what the establishment is saying. And I love that line in that movie where he says, "Did you love your father?" And she's like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Prove it." And in my mind, I've never really seen why science and spirituality have to be in conflict with each other. And I think that's another big part of the Aquarian age, that it's not A or B or black or white. It's all one thing, as quantum physics is starting to show us, and people like Bruce Lipton. But anyways, what it is that I have wrote another book. I wrote a book of fiction, a novel, a long time ago, actually. Well, not that long ago. Well, the idea first came to me in the 90s, and I was mulling around in my brain for many years, and then around '08, when my family business closed, I started to sort of, get serious about it. I started putting together like a loose outline and stuff. And then in 2011, I just really was on it, and I just was pounding it away. And it may even be partially channeled. I don't know. I didn't lose consciousness or anything, but there was a point when I said the body needs to rest now, because I was just working on it so much. There's so many things that I got confirmation about later from other people, like Dolores Cannon, who passed this year, and I thought she was so cool, and I just loved her, and I wanted to meet her so bad. I wanted to go to her thing down in Arkansas, but she passed this year. I didn't know about her though when I was writing this book, but her book and her work just was like confirmation for me for everything I was getting. So here it is. This is the book. I wrote it under a pen name, V.M. Lariv. Lariv being an anagram of Verley. That's where I got that from. It's called Starseed: A Pleiadian Tale of Love, a sci-fi paranormal romance. I published it back in 2012, just for copyright purposes mainly, and I sent it out to a bunch of people. you know, it needs work. You know, it's not, but it's a good story. I mean, I think it's worth reading. It's not that long. It's easy read. My intention was that it's a work of fiction that is meant to kind of help people understand, or there's some spiritual insights in there. Kind of like how, what you call it was. I wrote it in here, Celestine Prophecy. You know, where the Celestine Prophecy was an adventure story, but really it was uncovering these metaphysical truths. I mean, it's not like it's not like that in any other way, other than that was meant to be the approach of it. It's real loosely based on some of my experiences. I would say it's maybe 10% real and 90% fiction. I had to pay homage to a lot of the great people that I knew growing up, raised me in the bar. Some of my crazy characters, and Rory, the lead character, is a bartender as the story begins. And Helga is another main character. She is a composite character and tribute to all the great bar broads that I knew in my life, and some of the crazy things they said and did. She's a really cool, strong character, older woman, you know, but who's cool as hell. They go on an adventure, and along the way, Rory is... It's a story of Rory's awakening, you know, but it has some of the modern day plot twists and things that might make it viable. I mean, I don't know. I think it really needs some going over. I published it because I sent it out to a ton of people, and I wanted it copywritten. And I really think I need to work with an editor, probably, or maybe really somebody who has a background with script writing, because that's the way I always kind of visioned it, more as like that. And there's much more that can come of this, much more. I've been on my creative binges, has just been crazy lately. I mean, but if this got picked up to do something with it, or if people started really being interested in reading the book, there's more. There's lots more. We can go into some really cool stuff with it, like time travel and walk-ins and things like that, and for future whatever volumes, episodes, whatever it might be. So alternative realities, dual realities, there's a lot that could be done with this. But, you know, it's short and sweet. It's a funny, I try to be kind of funny. I mean, I'm not a big fiction reader, to be honest, but I like to watch a lot of movies and stuff like that. It's out there, too. I mean, if it might be a little bit too out there for a lot of people. watch the astrology stuff, but maybe not for a lot of people. I just have been getting so much confirmation that I need to talk about this and come out about this, and so I'm doing it. I did it, and I even I set up a little YouTube thing. This is hilarious, though. This is pretty cheesy. I watched this. I was cracking up. I have my VM Lariv YouTube channel with my one video, and this is it. And it's a little, like a thing, a little blurb or a little thing. It's pretty tacky, I'll be honest. But, yeah, I drew this picture, too, of Othvar. That's the guy. So there, I did it. Okay. If you're interested in it, cool. If it's too much for you, then that's fine too. You know, it's a fiction, though. Remember that it is fiction, but with underlying truths. And as always, if you want to go on my main page, you can link to the Tapestry of Life, my other channels. All my stuff's here. You go in the About section. You can find all the stuff, all the information about how to get a hold of me and everything else. My other channels are VV Creative Shorts with the music. Lots of music and stuff on this one. And then my Vicky Verley, Learning Songs for Kids. This is my original YouTube channel. And this is all my kids' music and kids' songs. And featuring the Green Glen Gang. Alright, everybody. I think this chart is a beautiful thing. I think we're going to have a lot of good energy for anything you want to start new. New on your personal life. Turning over new leaves as far as future. Being more united, and let's blast this arrow off into the future. All right. Remember, you're love and beauty incarnate, and I'll speak to you soon.